who was telling my life story and saying, "This is my problem. I can't sleep." It was the same presenting kind of problem. It's happened a number of times. And Kirsten actually has gone through this quite intensely too, because she had some pretty strong unconscious beliefs around sleep and numbers of hours and all those things that were like, some people have them around food, some people have them around sleep or relationships. There's a lot of things. But if everything we perceive is just motion picture of our unconscious beliefs, then it is, you might say, it is starting to peel off some of the norms and the practices and the rituals. We start to expose this self-hatred. Like everyone who comes to this place has got a pool of self-hatred down there. And the ones that seem to adapt and adjust to the world or seem like the normal ones, they seem to function. They sleep, they eat, they exercise. They're normal human beings. And then you are judging yourself as like, what, outside of the norm? And then the mind starts to want to conclude, am I a freak? Am I a freak? Am I so dysfunctional, so abnormal? But I know with this woman at this devotional I did, we rode that thing. It was like we took a ride on that horse of facing it, because it was she had some intense thoughts that were just circulating in her mind that she needed to really see and break free of. And I know you came to that, to our mystery school too, which is a 30-day program. And also, I feel like the same thing happened for you there. It's like, you start to peel away some rituals, some standards and some things, and then it gets more raw. It just seems to be more raw and more intense. And I have to say that's exactly how my spiritual journey went. When I'd go off to hermitages, people would say, "David, what are you doing in the woods? You didn't even like the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts, and now you're going to go live in the woods? Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? And you're taking this Course in Miracles book into the woods, into a little tiny trailer? Are you trying to scare yourself to death or whatever?" I mean, it could look that way, but I actually had to face things. And I think the most important thing to know about that context I was sharing, like it's all mine, is that the ego is going to try to fool you into believing you're alone. You're like the alone freak. And it's not the truth. This is the same darkness that everyone is facing. It is just looking the way it looks for you, but it's the exact same hatred, self-hatred. And what Jesus does is he reminds us, he says, you think you're afraid of the hatred. You think you're afraid of dying. You think you're afraid of not being normal, of being sick. But what you're really afraid of is the redemption. You're afraid of the love that's underneath that hatred. You're afraid that somehow you would lose everything that's important, your daughter, your house, your family. If you dropped down like through that dark cloud of hatred, then the ego is saying, that's oblivion. You will, it's going to, love to the ego is oblivion. God is oblivion. Heaven, truth is seen as oblivion from the ego. And that's why we are so joined together in exposing and holding each other's hands through this, because we need those symbols of support, And you said there was a mighty companion. It felt like a nightmarish day, but you had this mighty companion that was able to join with you. And that's a testimony for all of us. Because I needed it. Every one of us need that helping hand, someone to talk to, someone to listen. It's absolutely essential part of the healing. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for writing it out. And I did get the chance to read it. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's not just for you, that's for everyone. Everyone is facing that sense of unworthiness, that sense of self-hatred. That once you start to pull a few covers off from the mask, then you're getting into the real inner work, the real intensity, and we're together. We're joined with you all the way. I'm down here on an island in Europe. I've come closer to where you are than ever. And the funny thing is, this isn't my first time. I've come many times over here to Europe since about 2006 or 7, I think. I've been coming to Europe, and I tried to set up a base for Jesus, and it just didn't make it. And then I tried a second time to set up a base for Jesus, and it didn't make it. And now I'm here again because with Europe, in spite of the Spanish Inquisition, in spite of the Crusades killing Muslims in the name of Jesus, in spite of the crazy things with Rome and pedophiles, in spite of all the ego misuses of the beautiful teachings of Jesus Christ, I am back. I have landed again in Europe, and my movie here is The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, this is a new version of The Empire Strikes Back. The ego has had its way too much over here, way too much. For centuries, the ego has been playing games, but the Empire Strikes Back. The empire, meaning the kingdom of heaven, always gets the last word in. The ego speaks first, but the empire strikes back. And so we're joined in this, and that hatred you're feeling it's that deep egoic terror that's there, but we're awakening to God. I've come back here for just purely for awakening purposes, and I have landed in the southern part of Europe, and I am planting my flag for Jesus Christ and the empire, and we are back. So take heart. Don't judge any of those scenes, because the final scene is going to be for the glory of God. It's going to be the rapture is what we're coming into over here. So we might have time for one more question or comment, I think.
Okay. Next on the list is Lenny. Go ahead, Lenny.
I wanted to share, it was so beautiful going to the retreat and just having this, wow, this is possible. It is possible. What if I could live every day like this? Now I know what you're talking about, and I really feel, oh my God, and David was always talking about him traveling. I mean, this is not a fairy tale. It's real. It can happen to me too. It was just so beautiful. And then I came home and like everything is crashing down. I'm like, what is happening? So, so I'm working on that. So, yeah. And that's also why I decided, you know what? I'm going to book the next retreat. When you're coming in October, I'm not going to miss that. So, yeah, I'll practice and then I'll show up in October and really practice to drop the expectations. Yeah, so.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I'm so glad you shared that, because, you know, sometimes we have these online gatherings and then we do some retreats here and there and we say, oh, did you see so-and-so? They came off the screen. You come off the digital screen and we get to hug them. Oh my gosh. But it's all mine, but it's like, I'm glad you shared that, because we do need experience of this expansiveness just to know it's there, just as part of how we're convinced. And sometimes, you know, like when I was really giving it over, you know, when I did the 5 years of Walkabout, I probably wouldn't have done it if I was told ahead of time that I'd be out on the road for 5 years. But that's how the Spirit works, you know, gets you out there and you start to have these experiences and you know that it's possible. And that's what you need. It's like being cheered on from inside, like you can do this. So I'm glad you're sharing that, because that is really important, and that's the beginning of this turnaround of really taking the parameters and the limits off of our mind and starting to soar higher and higher, like Jesus says, let your mind soar to those thoughts where it's free, your real thoughts. And it's really important that people hear that and have the witness for that. And even this new show I've just started watching on Netflix, the Kindness Diaries, every single episode is just freeing, expanding, going beyond the limits, of encountering people and coming from kindness with the sweet, innocent face. Can I go home with you? Can I stay at your house tonight? And just the looks on people's faces. And some of them, it's cold, it's icy, it's snowy, it's minus 20 degrees. It's just this big, long beard. Sure, you're coming home with us right now. These reflections, some of these people don't even blink. They welcome what seems to be to the world an absolute stranger in the coldest, frostiest conditions imaginable. And, of course. And he says, I don't have any money. Come on. Not a question. And so it shows us a whole new world. A whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. It's like from that Aladdin movie. It's woo. So thank you, Lainey, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you at this castle. We're going to be at a castle in southern Holland in early October. So, and thank you all. This has been such a blessing. I look forward to our next session, where I'm joined. We will continue on with the Q&A of actually doing like Lainey was doing. Just what is the experience of the I Know Mind? Where am I seemingly caught, and how do I get lifted up? And we will continue on. We will. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Awakening to True Happiness with modern-day mystic David Hoffmeister. You can access more of David's teachings by visiting his website at davidhoffmeister.com. Tune in to David again next week on Evolutionary Voices for the Quantum Age, heard Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern on the Dreamvisions 7 radio network.